get into outlining this story, which we are not rereading. Let's see. Let's make the whole thing there. Insert table. Let's make it a plain table. And then let's also, I think it's Command I. There we go. Why are they so big, by the way? Command. Yeah, I just want all the fucking cells somehow. And let's get the formatter text. And let's take the. That's why, because we're in this bullshit table style. So I just want it to be in body text. There we go. And I also want it to be. Let's take it down a little bit. There we go. Wow, that didn't work at all. Okay. Chapter, POV, goal, status, and then we need one more. Pace. Okay, and so far there are in Vaseline. I should reboot this thing. Yeah, I didn't really, not really feeling the mojo this morning. So we're gonna try and do something productive and just work on this outline because this piece is it's really meant to be a very tight. All right, so we have 17 so far. Well, no, we have 16 so far. It's meant to be a very tight pulp fiction kind of narrative there. So this is Yes. Let's make C my this is the charting thing that I'm doing here, and then POV will be short, goal, status, pace, goal, and then I just really need all this text to be cell table. I don't fucking know. All right. All right. And then let's make it. How many chapters do we? Let's make it 20. Oh, I can't finish it 23 chapters. Or can I? So it's 160. And I'm almost to the climax of the action. I'm not quite there. Can I do it? Well, let's work on it. No reason to like. Let's say that we're gonna get 40 chapters. Okay, and so POV. All right, cool. So this is Vaseline. Let me see. I don't know whose POV it is. And yeah, it's kind of like a group POV where they all talk about it. Yeah, it's from the. All right, let's. So chapter 1 is. There we go. And then the goal. Okay. And let's take. Oh, and then I need one more. Okay. Okay. I wonder if a word count is better than pages. Let's just do pages for now. Okay, So, God, that's annoying. There we go. So, we're not doing that. We're doing Vaseline. Okay. So this starts at page 1. Half the man I used to be. Pooks and the Boys. Rat Square. So I think I already put in the POV for all of these. So page 1 through. It's a 15-page chapter. Okay, yeah. So it takes 15 pages to get the story going, which is how many words? I'm always doing it, but we're not editing here. We're outlining. I'm too gay to edit today. 3,500. And who is this Load Ray Dio? 3,500. So it's 15 pages. I don't know, 15 to 3,500. All right. I would say the pace is decent here, but I haven't gotten deep into it there. Okay, so chapter 2 is going to be. Yeah, I'm not feeling like super inspired this morning, so I'm just going through and outlining the second book that we're going to be working on here. So that is Skeevis POV, Abundance of Blunders, and it's going to run on for 16 through. It's an 8-page chapter. Okay, 8, 2, Skeevis, and let's see. I don't know how the pacing is there. Let's take a look. Filthy felines. All right, so what we're setting up here. All right, so let me see. Oh, what's up, Captain Ron? How'd y'all find your way here? Yeah. Like, I'm just out of mana for some fucking reason. I just took some vitamins. Maybe that'll boost me up. All right. So this introduces. Okay, and then. So also with this book being like primarily a comedy based book, potentially the comedy arc, like the I might need to figure out like some difference between the chapters that are funny and the chapters that are just moving the plot along. Well, with your fellow swine, double damned. Okay, and then so here we introduce Fiddy. No prize. So this is 25 through. Okay, so this introduces Million, 25 through 30. So this is just a 5-page chapter. Fiddy. Too much scrolling. I can't read. Well, you're not meant to. Yeah, like comments are totally unhelpful here. So introduce Fiddy. Yeah, I mean, let me see. I don't know if I can really edit a chapter at the moment here. Yeah, so just if you ever like are working on a project and like you wake up, you're like, oh, I don't want to do that or whatever. I find it's helpful to just start working on like organizing for the project. Like in this case, I'm just setting up this abstract to get an idea for how the pacing of the story is going. Let me see what actually happens in this chapter. Yeah, I want to like wake up a little bit and have a good day. You know, you have that feeling you're like, oh, depression's fucking setting in. And then, all right, so what happens in this chapter? So Fiddy is dragged to there. He has a serious concussion. You're organizing something you've already written. Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, keep in mind, it's not completely written. We're in the this is the very beginning stages. Like the first 140 pages or so of this book have been written, um, and it's just about figuring out how the structure is going to go for we take it to the finish line. True and strong tea. Let me see. All right, so let me see. Yeah, I'll pop over to the Rapasaurus in 1 second. Okay. So what are we setting up here? Go away, D&D. So here, no, we don't. The Nim brothers aren't snake bit there. Uh, okay, so this is a slow paced chapter there. This is like a third book. Let me see here. No, it's a standalone book. Slow, but it's short. Okay. Let me see. This is the one where, so this story is about a city full of magicians who are constantly fucking each other over. It has nothing to do with Rapasaurus. It's set in like the same fantasy world and has some of the same limitations and so forth. But this has nothing to do with that. It's about a mining town where there's been a discovery of a vein of a mineral called orphite, which really I should get. I should make that happen somewhere earlier in the book, just so people know what the stakes are. And so it's kind of like a boom town where all these wizards show up to try and get at the orphite, which has the peculiar property of exponentially amplifying their magical powers, right? So what the neat drama of this story is it's basically like a boomtown, common people are getting ripped off, and magicians are taking advantage of them. But the magicians are also constantly fighting with each other and scheming and plotting and so forth. Um, so the story is wrapped around these kind of street urchins that are just trying to make a play for it. All right, so as I'm describing this, okay, these are good general notes to insert into our whole thing. God damn it, fucking pages. Here, give me some room to write in pages. Okay, so uh, okay. So from their perspective, it's that, and then of course each of the magicians is going to have their own perspective on exactly what's happening. And there's like a lot of drinking and whoring, and it really is going to have some qualities of like a western, something like There Will Be Blood or Tombstone or something like that. The I don't want to include the word Tarantino esque in my abstract, but Tombstone had a sex scene. What? I don't even remember fucking. Was it Doc and that lady? I watched Tombstone not too long ago. Fucking dope. Boomtown narrative. Blah, 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 blah. Space Western. La, da, 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 da. I should have put this in manuscript format so it was double spaced. Mm. Oh fuck! I just cut myself out of Hollow Boys are the Proud Boys, and Orphite is anti-Semitism. I don't think that there are any real allegories for the Jews in this. Everybody in this story is a Jew, and they are all Jewily Jewing each other every moment of the day. But yeah, I don't think race or creed or Semitism plays into this one here. Hello Boys, pacing Sarah, the stakes of the Orphite. Okay, that's immediately I'm starting to see some of the problems with the narrative. Once I started talking about it and trying to explain it to somebody, I'm like, okay, this is why parts of the story aren't working right here. Okay, and they need to be in the thick of. Oh, hello, Emperor of Finland. Yeah, apparently, I should say that both Captain Ron and Mantis are from the far fringe of our society, so you have to speak with them into like we can't just talk to them person to person. We have to parse everything through like QAnon terms, right? Um, like you can't just say like, "Hey, we're working on the structure of this book." You have to say something like, "Because 9/11 didn't actually happen, we're working on the structure of this book." All right, I feel better there. Um, I almost want to have this be introduce Skeevis. All right, slow. Uh, okay, so we're doing some work on milk. Good. All right, so let's try chapter 4. All right. Da, 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 da. Yeah, but this has just been my like. I'm too bored to work on whatever. Oh, I love the digamajig. The digamajig rules. All right, so it's another Skeevis chapter, and this introduces all the miners. It's 31. This is one of the best chapters in the book. Bu- 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 bum. 31, 37, 41. We'll edit this at some point. Oh, good. It's 10 pages long. Okay. Chapters here seem to be longer than my norm. All right. So 10. Okay. So here we want to introduce the miners. Okay. So the miners are the guys who were actually involved in like digging this ore out of the earth, and they just get the absolute shit kicked out of them by themselves, right? So what happens in this scene is that so Tychon, the head wizard of the town, has tasked Skeevis, the blacksmith's son, with taking this cursed staff. Like so, in the first chapter, let's just run through the entire story thus far. So in the first chapter, the Hollow Boys are dicking around, playing grab ass in the town square, which is called Rat Square. Out comes Half Hand, the Haruspex, who is a dark mage like character. He's like a goth wizard clad in like buckles and leather and shit like that. And so the boys are sitting around in Rat Square, and face down in the mud is Tychon the Tyrant, the head wizard in the town everybody is afraid of. And he's fucking laying face down dead in the mud. Right? So the Hollow Boys are sitting around daring each other to go over and touch him. Because I'd say that they're all like 14 to 16 years old, right? To set like a pacing. So they're taunting each other, and then Half Hand rolls over, and Half Hand has this big iron staff that has 3 demon heads on the top of it, and like the demon heads are like ha 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 ha. They laugh and shit like that. They got horns. It's made out of like rusty iron. He's very goth. All right, so he comes over and takes a gander at the corpse of Tychon, and Milk, Tychon's like albino bastard son, is like, it's a trap. And then Half Hand's like, fuck you, it's a trap. And he zaps him with a wizard ray that fucks Milk up really bad. And Milk like crawls away through the muck. So after inspecting Tychon, Half Hand figures out that Tychon is truly dead, and he stands over the corpse of Tychon and unlaces his breeches and starts to piss all over Tychon to just let him know, now I rule this town. But it's, of course, it's not Tychon at all, but rather a demon bound in human form, which literally reaches up, rips off this guy's dick, and the two of them get into a fight, which Half Hand loses terribly, right? In fact, Half Hand's soul is like half devoured, and the rest of him manages to find refuge in his phylactery, which is the staff. I don't put any goals to the characters, then what I dictated will happen will happen. The way it happens is up to the characters. Every character should have a driving goal. So here, where I say goal, it's not the goal of the character, it's my goal, like why that chapter exists and is in the book, right? Like what work is the chapter doing? And then in status, I want to appraise and see how am I doing with that goal. Like here is one for a much larger novel, Rapasaurus, right here. So here we talk about consider merging the previous POV, etc. Is it because Russia? Okay, so that's chapter 1. That goes down. So what happens is Half Hand is slain, and then Tychon takes Skeevis, one of the Hollow Boys, the blacksmith's son, and says, take this staff, melt it down into slag, and carry the iron rod far away from town and bury it because it's cursed, right? And then he balls out. Tychon is an asshole. So then we get to Skeevis. He tries to do what he's instructed, to like haul the staff away, but the staff is firmly rooted in the earth and it will not budge, right? The staff is not going anywhere. It's got the remnants of Half Hand's soul. It's an evil artifact, blah, 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 blah. So he tries to pull it out of the earth, and he even gets like an ox cart driver to try and help him. It winds up breaking the rope, and the ox cart driver's like, fucking kid, you broke my rope. So it is beyond the power of mortal men to move this staff out of its place in the mud in Rat Square. So along comes Lady Nay, a giant, fat, drunken, we call her the wine witch in the story. So she offers to help Skeevis with his task if he will help her with her task, and her task is fucking Skeevis. Now he wants nothing to do with this fat broad, and so he's like, oh, I couldn't, blah, 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 blah. And then she tells him, like, she'll help if he will help her kill all the cats in town, because she has she's like, they're getting in my garden, they're digging everything up. Unbeknownst to the reader at this time, all those cats are part of, this is a wacky fucking story now that I'm getting into it. Unbeknownst to the reader, all those cats are part of a single entity, one of the wizards who can break themselves up into 9 different cats and wander around the town and skulk around and everything. Okay, so then in chapter 3, this is the one that's kind of out of place here. So Fitty is dragged back to the town's healer, and she starts taking care of him and tells him he has a serious concussion and so forth. We learn a little bit more about Fitty, who is a pathological liar. And he is chastised by her, Million, who is she's basically sent to spy on the town, and she patches everybody up and blah, 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 blah. Big old fat lady. But she acts as like a moral compass for these characters, telling, like, when they come to her all beat up and everything, she's like, yeah, you really shouldn't have done that, you asshole. And the characters are completely impervious to this moral criticism. Okay, so that's okay. And so then in this chapter, Skeevis, Poos is kind of like the ringleader of the Hollow Boys, and Poos comes along and finds Skeevis like forlorn. He can't figure out how to get the fucking staff out of the earth. He doesn't want to wake up his dad because his dad is a violent alcoholic. So Poos comes along and says, well, if you can't pull this staff out of the earth, what's keeping it upright? Like, obviously the staff is somehow pulling strength from the earth. Why don't you just dig like under the staff until it falls over? So Skeevis, for want of a better idea, starts to dig a giant pit underneath of the staff. He's like digging a big trench. So while he's doing that, his uncle, who is was it Caesar Shipwright? No, it's something Orhund. It's Ali and hold on, let me figure out what his uncle's name is. Let's see. Oh, this is kind of a dope chapter. Wait, did I figure out how many fucking pages it was before I did this? Yeah, it's 10 pages long. So this is one of my favorite chapters. So in the whole book right here. It's really inspired a little bit by one of probably my favorite book of all time, which is Tortilla Flat by John Steinbeck. It's so fucking good. It's amazing. Okay, so here, the Digamajig is they start digging up, and then all these miners roll up, lugging a wheelbarrow full of unprocessed orphite. And so orphite is very valuable in this, and they're going to Skeevis's father, Ali Orhund, because they want him to smelt down the ore into a big piece of orphite that they can sell and go get soaring drunk, right? And the miners are really happy with themselves. They have like a big jug of moonshine that they are swigging from because they worked for a month to get all this orphite, and they're ready to go crazy on the town and go around whoring and getting drunk. And so, unfortunately, Ali Orhund, the blacksmith, is drunk out of his mind. He is later described as like a 3-day drunk, and he is completely blacked out at this point in the story. So they see that, Chesty is, I think, Chesty Orhund is his uncle, the miner, and Ali Orhund is his father, Skeevis Orhund. Skeevis is probably like our main identifiable character, so you know that he's going to be the tragic figure, or have to make some kind of sacrifice or learn something. And the main factors within the Hollow Boys are Skeevis and Poos. And Poos is described as always the instigator, seldom the perpetrator. Yes, hello, Impurinaut. Everybody's up on a Sunday morning. Okay, so let's see. So what happens is that the miners sit on a porch and like start getting drunk, and they critique Skeevis's digging as he's trying to dig a pit around this evil staff. Because if they lay a hand on the staff, they will be cursed. So he's just trying to dig a wide pit around it. So the miners sit on the porch and they just make fun of him the whole time, calling his father a drunk. He digs like a girl, blah, 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 blah. And then Poos, sitting over on the steps, also not helping, just watching Skeevis dig, starts to deride the miners, saying like, he digs better than you, old man, blah, 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 blah. The miners take the bait, right? So Caesar Shipwright, one of the miners who was like described as he's got gray chest hair and he's burly and so forth. He is cajoled into taking a bet that he can outdig Skeevis, right? Who is just like a young man, but he's like a strapping young man, right? So they get into it and start digging, and they realize like the two of them, the miners start to get violent. They're like, if you lose, I'm going to kick your ass. Because they all take bets on each of them. And some of the miners bet on Skeevis, and some of the miners bet on Caesar Shipwright. And then so Skeevis and Caesar Shipwright are both like, fuck. They realize that they can't get out of the pit. And like, if they stop digging, they're going to get their asses kicked. And now they're stuck in it. And what happens is, as the miners get increasingly drunk, they just are like, all that digging looks like fun. And so everybody gets into the pit and starts digging and going crazy. And of course, a brawl breaks out, and all the miners wind up knocking themselves out. Skeevis and Poos escape unscathed, and they manage to topple the staff by digging under it. At last, it runs out of power and falls over into the mud of Rat Square. But instead of hauling away the staff the way that they're supposed to, Skeevis and Poos decide to steal the wheelbarrow of orphite. Trouble brewing. So they cart it off to their hideout, and then this is where I'm fucking up a little in the story, because once they're in the hideout, they're not in the thick of things, and it's not as funny. All right, so that one's good, and then we get to day 2. Now we introduce chapter 5. We introduce a new character. All my stories are like this. They just fucking go on for X number of days. So 42 through... Ugh. All right, hold on. I made a terrible mistake taking vitamins on an empty stomach. Let me go eat something. Oh no. Then I like compounded my mistake, grabbing something to eat to like settle my stomach. But then I ate something that was difficult to throw up. Oh fuck. This is a comedy of errors here. Fuck. Ugh. Yeah, man, that was no bueno. Well, at some point we'll have to stop. We'll have to stop doing this so I can go Jarl, which is unfortunate, but my own fucking mistake. All right, how deep does this chapter run? So this is page 42 through 40. That's only like 42 through 44. Is this only 2 pages? No, it's a 3-page chapter. All right. So here. This is 4 pages. So here we introduce Torin Lorn, the fucking spaceman. I'm so distracted. We introduced Torin Lorn, who is a tax assessor who has been sent by King Geordie the Little to tax Vassanane, which is the town where this is this wizardly boom town. And immediately, he does not want to do this shit at all. He has a long-standing rule: I don't tax wizards. Right? It never pays off to tax a wizard. They'll just turn you into a fucking toad or some horseshit like that, or send you to another realm. It doesn't pay to tax these guys. They're assholes. But he's been ordered to do so. So it's already shaping up to be like a really bad day for this guy. So Torin Lorn, he's the harbinger of the external threat. Okay, cool. Well, that was one of the antagonists in IRC D&D too, King Geordie the Little. Okay, so here, this is like a tax assessor, and the tax assessor is like the looming external threat that will eventually cause all these wizards to temporarily ally against the external threat and then break apart worse than ever before. So here we're doing like kind of a fiasco type thing. The idea of this book is to have it be like a Coen Brothers build towards a point of tension. Everything breaks apart, and then the characters all try to deal with the fallout in their own way. And then we try to reconcile all those threads. Okay, so 6 is Fiddy's Kitty Fiasco. And here I'm leading these fucking Hollow Boys out of the town, but it's not good. All right, so the Road to Rune, 42, 44. And here, hold on. Let's... Cool. All right, let's see how many pages. 50. All right, so they're at Hollowboy Hill. So 45 through... This is so good for being able to ID where in the story I'm fucking up, right? Where it's going astray. So 45 through 51, so it's 6 pages. Okay. Okay. Okay, cool. So this is I can see this is where my story is like a little falling astray right here. So we get into day 2, and then we have Fiddy being there, and then here we introduce Heather Ney. She's an interesting character. She is, and it's a short chapter, 52 through 55. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's a 4-page chapter, actually. Can't do math. 4, Heather, 7. Okay. Let's see. Well, I think I should go and violently vomit for a little bit. So, yeah, be to your own devices while I do that. Ugh. Well, that was one of the best ideas I've had all day. Okay. Fuck. Uh, cool. Okay. And then let's go to chapter 8. Trouble brewing. Okay, so this is where Torin gets involved with the. No, it's just like I'm not sick, and I haven't had anything to drink in like a month, right? It's just my diet is like mostly keto, and like so when you're on keto, you're not getting enough fucking electrolytes, and you don't get enough magnesium and potassium and stuff. So there are vitamins that you can specifically take for if you're like mostly on a low carb diet. And I woke up this morning, I'm like, oh, I don't have any energy. Like, oh, I'll just take some of these vitamins, which is not smart. And I had not taken them on an empty stomach before. And I'm like, I'm sure it'll be fine. No, no, not in the slightest. Um, but I digress. All right, so here Torin shows up at Mora Sign Fine, which is the town bar, 56 through 1 through. I like that they immediately get into shit when they're here. So this is a 12-page chapter. 10, 12, 13. All right. So it's a 13-page chapter. Control tab. But it tells you a lot about the town. All right, so 13. So even though he is my diets are simple. I eat less sweets and I eat this is exactly what I'm doing right there. Avoiding carbohydrates, which are simple sugars, and rigidly counting the number of. Oh, speaking of which, I need to add in the peanuts that I done ate. Ugh. Even though I no longer have most of them. Oh, done. All right, so breakfast, nuts, and let's add an ounce of nuts. Done. Fuck, that's a lot of calories. I don't avoid carbohydrates. I just avoid the excess stuff I don't need to eat to survive. Well, to me, carbohydrates are that. Just even when I'm eating whatever the fuck, they always make me feel bad. I never eat like a bunch of fries or a bunch of cereal or whatever and feel good. It always slows me down. All right, so 13. This is chapter 8. Torin. All right, so let's see. More sign fine, sadly. Okay, cool. So now we start to introduce some threat. I like that he gets into town and immediately gets fucked over. It's good. And then we go to day 3 of this narrative. There we go. And so that's 3 chapters for that day, and then 5 chapters for the first day. So if we just keep all of our fucking number of chapters prime in each day, we'll be fine. So day 9, we introduce the character of Sad Lee. This is a good one. 69 through. No. It's a long chapter too. 69. So it is a 12-page chapter. And all right, so 12, 9, 12. Okay, cool. So we do a lot of work in this chapter. So here, I had an idea, but I forgot what it was. Um, okay. All right, so we see that three of these characters, who are all like hopeless drunks, they just kind of like blend into each other in the chapters. So I need something that differentiates between each of them to keep this going well. Yeah, honestly, in this one, I feel like I can get away with like longer chapters because there's so much action happening in each of these. This isn't written to be like Rapasaurus, where it's long and so forth. In the 70 or 80 pages that we have so far, stuff is constantly happening. And because I'm not like in a dungeon and having to describe all manner of bullshit, there's not much exposition in this. It really is like counter-written against Rapasaurus to be where, okay, so this is a problem. It's meant to be like fast. It's meant to be kind of like a noiry, Tarantino-esque, just Reservoir Dogs type shit. Shit's happening is what I'm saying there. All right, so 81, and this is where I go off the rails a lot. 81 down all the way to, we gotta cut this fucking chapter. Yeah. Wait, does this run on for that long? Oh, fuck me. Oh, it absolutely does. So it runs on for 81. This is where it's fucked up. And if I want to have these chapters, they got to be like way shorter. And then, yeah, I guess into like a fucking geology lesson and so forth. They're talking about triclinic crystals and everything. Is really way too much. Yeah, and it's like 20 pages long. 81 through 95, which means it's a 15-page chapter. All right, so 10, 15. Whose POV is this? Oh, I think I rewrote it to be Skeevis's POV. Let me see. So it looks like Skeevis there. Although this chapter is doing some work. It introduces, yeah, I just need to get them back into the town somehow. Like they need to be there doing trouble. More sign fine. Yeah, okay. So it's like a slight Skeevis POV. Yeah, okay. So Skeevis POV. All right. All right, cool. Um, so yeah, we're moving away from our 22 short films of Springfield type thing here. So essentially, like instead of spending 5 pages talking about rocks here, I want them to like dispatch all the Hollow Boys out to town, and each of them goes and steals something different and gets into some separate misfortune and so forth. So yeah, I like that idea there. They just need to be like deeply involved. They need to be like the lifeblood of this town for them to like serve their purpose. They have to be in the thick of things, seeing things, reacting to things, and being like eyes for the reader. Um, and Okay. So I like this idea of when they are involved, the reader is getting into mischief constantly and seeing things that they're not supposed to see and paying a price for the knowledge that they gain. So I like that idea. I think that's a good way to fix that particular issue with the plotting. I do like the introduction of Enos here, but like him immediately getting snake. All right, so that's the other part of it. There, we need to fucking. All right. No. So I don't. He just like blunders into a cave and gets snake bit, and he just has no stakes as a villain there. Um, so he needs to take something away from them so that they can later get him back. Because here it just shows them almost killing him, which is not making my character sympathetic. All right, so Heavy Heather and Half Hand Staff. So this is 96 through short. 96 through 102, which to me sounds like it is 7 pages. Okay. Okay. So here. Okay, cool. So I like this chapter here. So Heather, who has stolen Half Hand's staff, is constantly and annoyingly hassled by Half Hand, who wants her to bring him back to life. Right? His spirit is trapped in the staff. He can't reanimate himself. He's been too damaged or whatever, and his phylactery is being carried around by this fat, dumpy, what's her like by a thoroughly like unpleasant young lady. So the two of them get into a fight and then realize that actually both of them would love to see this entire town burned to the ground, right? They share that commonality. They're both outcast losers and they want to watch the world burn. So they get into that. But before they can get to that point, they have to go through like which one of us has the bigger dick, and in the dick measuring contest, Heather triumphs. So this is a good chapter here. I like what's happening between these two. It's a good dynamic. All right, so Stride Moor. This is a good chapter too. So Stride goes to show some of like the eviler side of town. And so it's 103 through. There's another one. Okay, cool. 103 through 112. So that to me would lead me to believe that it is 10 pages. So here. Okay, cool. So what happens in this chapter is somebody there's a illusionist called Stridemore, and an assassin rolls in and tries to shoot him with a crossbow, but he just keeps shooting illusions of Stridemore, and you see a little bit in here in this chapter how like everybody in town is willing to like take that crossbow bolt and no, shoot me, shoot me. They're all just drunk and miserable. It shows some of the power dynamic between the different wizards. And then at the end of it, they realize that the assassin has run off and that Stride is nowhere to be seen, and a pallor falls over the bar because everybody realizes that Stride is out there tracking this guy down, and he's just going to do something fucking terrible to him. And it kind of takes the fun out of the whole thing there. And so here we start to bring in the reality of hey, these wizards have power and they're goofy and they're funny characters and so forth. But really, when they're getting into it with civilians, the civilians are just getting the worst of it, and is often like very gruesome, right? Like when it's like we think of the wizards as like a bunch of wolves among sheep, and every so often they like pull off the fake wool and they show their teeth. And so this is one of those chapters. We should also show some uncommon resolve from Torin. The miners just get their asses kicked all the time in the story. They really are punching bags, and the miners kind of represent like the local labor, and they just get beaten down hardcore. This really is like a very economic story about industrialization and so forth. I can maybe sell this to some of those communists. All right, so it's another daybreak. So we are. This is actually Daybreak 3. This one is Daybreak 2. Okay, cool. So we're 3 days into the story right now when we get to chapter. And then we get to chapter 13. Okay, so what do we got here? So Vassanane in the story. How exactly? So this is how many? It's a short chapter. So 113 to 117. So 5 pages. This is the first of Snit's chapters. All right, so oh fuck! I just realized that Torin and Tychon are like almost the same name. Ugh. Why do I keep doing this to myself? Okay, cool. So here with Tycon, this is a good spot to after this just have Tycon fucking flying off the handle, right? Because he has to as like the so he is gonna fall somewhere between like a benevolent dictator of the town and just like a complete paranoid despot here, and he's gonna waver between those two poles. Um, so far, we don't really get to see like what his administrative style is, but eventually that's gonna have to be revealed. All right, this is all right. Okay, cool. Because they call him Tycon the Tyrant, and not for no reason, right? All right, so that I like. Man, this is a fun fucking story. There's a lot of crazy shit happening in this. So cross streams. Uh, okay, so this is Ali Orhund. So 118 to 123. Okay, so this is gonna be 6 pages. Uh, all right. Cool. Oh, so we have two different wizards at once, where this is gonna set them on the warpath. Cool. I like that. Now we're really turning up the fucking heat in day 3, and then chapter 15 is gonna be sadly okay. And then this is where oh no, 15 is gonna be a Dopal. So 124 through this chapter has to get cut. 124 through 131, so 6 pages. I don't remember whose POV did I do this in. I think it's like Poose's POV. No, it's Skeevis's POV. All right. I don't think we ever do Poose POV. All right, so all right, no. Okay, cool. So that chapter needs work. So they're basically they find out what's in the hole, but ultimately, like when you're resolving tension in the story, you want to be replacing it with like a new kind of tension. It's meant to be like a snowball, right? And here we just like fizzle out some of the tension. We solve the character's problem, and it's just like I said, I'm not happy with the structure of what's happening with the Hollow Boys, and so hopefully when we write the other chapter where they're stealing stuff, we can start to increase the tension in like a meaningful way, but not to the point where it's like white knuckle and the reader's like, oh my god, I got to see what's happening next. And, like this, it's not that kind of story. Let me see. Yeah, it's just it's not effective in what it's trying to do. Okay, so regrettably is the end of this, and I can just see it's a 9-page chapter. And command tab. All right. What's that name? Okay, cool. And so this shows this character like trying to drag himself out of like a drunken funk, and then every time he tries to like initially he's like, oh, like maybe I'll get my act together and like this girl will be interested in me, and she's like, no. And then he's like, actually maybe she is into me, maybe I am like one of the strongest wizards in town if I just stop drinking so much. And then he goes and finds that she has fallen in love with some other dude, so he's like right back to the fucking bottle. So I like that dynamic there. Okay, cool. That's as far as I've gotten in the story so far. And you can see as we're deep into the story, right? You can see all my threads are starting to like fray too much, and already it's time to start weaving some of them back together to make this like a tight and fun and fast story. All right. Yeah, really, I made a terrible mistake with all these vitamins and so forth, but I hope I get it together. I didn't sleep super well is the other thing. I gotta get that fucking CPAP machine happening. So not the most productive weekend, but even like feeling like dog shit and feeling uninspired, and get through and start to do some of the organization work. So for this one also, file open. Let me see. Where's my Vaseline chart? Yeah, all right. So before I was doing this like synopsis that I think it's still worthwhile to continue writing the synopsis of the whole story because I'll need it at some point. But yeah, it's written like a screenplay. So I was doing this whole thing, but it just wasn't useful. So probably I should combine these two as I'm working on the story, and then just have my chapter thing, and then it be linked to the synopsis. So this is just basically all the all the fucking administrative work that I'm learning that I have to do to keep these stories flowing and so forth. So we didn't actually rewrite Rapasaurus at all today. I just needed to take a break. So, all right. We've done some stuff. I'm going to get the hell out of here. Hopefully, tomorrow we'll be stronger. Peace.